Good evening or good afternoon, depending on if you're in Connecticut or on the West Coast. And welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live. We are on location at Wondries Toyota. And what town is this in?
This is in Alhambra, California, probably 5 minutes from downtown Los Angeles. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight?
Now we are on mobile, so that's a little bit trickier sometimes than on the PC with the camera and all that other good stuff. But so I'm here with Martha Alvarado. You are a BDC expert.
A little bit, yes. I'm still learning. I think that's the most important thing. Never stop learning, right? So, this is an evolving industry.
So tell us your background.
I am originally from El Salvador. Got to a Ford dealership 23 years ago. Applied for a job as a BDC rep. Okay. I didn't know much English, but I really had a lot of experience on the phones, on the Spanish broadcast and marketing. So they gave me a chance. Okay. And a year after I was there, I became the BDC manager. And I worked at that dealership for 5 years as a customer relation manager as well. And I think that's where I kind of learned how to work every single department and what the customer's challenges and kind of complaints or concern were. And also, I learned that there is the importance of having a process to deal with everything. So then I went back to be a BDC director. And that's when a lot of the dealerships were started having service BDCs. So I went to start working with Toyota, which is a different type of brand coming from Ford. The expectations are completely different.
Yeah.
So I developed probably a 14 BDC team over there, and for the sales side, and 8 service BDC team for the service side, and it went along for probably over 14 years. So I think since then I've been working with Toyota and trying to keep up with all of the changes and challenges that it comes to I lead a BDC department because there is a lot of challenges and a lot of misconceptions, I will say,
Well, I want to get to a couple of comments, and then I want to start with the biggest misconception that kind of smacked me right in the face when I walked in here, because it's kind of different than what you hear from a lot of people. All right, so let's get to a couple of comments here. All right, we've got Ryan Baum says hello, and Mike Vogel. Hi, Martha and Paul.
Hi,
hey, Mike. It seems like I just saw Mike.
I think you just saw him, right? I haven't
yesterday.
seen him in a couple of months. I know he hasn't come back to visit us.
And the lovely Paulette Meijer, who happens to be my bride. She's a very lucky lady.
She is. Paulette. You are a very lucky person. You are. One day I will have the pleasure of meeting you.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we've got Jerry Davis. Hey, congratulations on your bike. I just saw that post on LinkedIn. That's a sweet ride you have there, my friend. So congratulations on that. And let's see. Steve Chesson, she is an expert.
Hi, Steve. You are too.
I second that. Felix Ember, hi from Phoenix. Oh, I'll be in Phoenix on Monday. Mike Vogel says, Martha is awesome. She epitomizes what ABL, always be learning, and Kaizen, continuous improvement, mean. And we've got Frank Lopes. Hey.
We got Frank on the show.
All right, Frank. I think the last time I saw Frank was at NADA.
I have not been able to meet her in person yet, but I love him and I love his wife.
I love his hair. Frank's got the ultimate hair.
Yes.
Nobody has hair like Frank.
I love all of his family.
Robert Allen Carvel, a good BDC is essential to its service department. And you have both sales and service BDC.
Correct. Yes, we do have both on the same, room, under the same roof, sharing information constantly and learning from each other.
Cool. Wow, these comments are coming quick.
Oh, Russell.
Anthony Demola says, thank you for the topic. Oh, you are most welcome. I try to bring interesting topics that give you actionable content that you can use in your stores tomorrow. And Russell B. Hill, good evening, Paul. And I cannot wait to hear nuggets that Martha will drop. She is amazing. I think you have a lot of fans there, Martha.
I think so, right? I told them, you don't know what I'm going to send them later on. I told them, no, I'm just kidding. I love them all. I think it's mutual, the respect.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot for every single one of them. Frank, my team, have heard him before because sometimes I do play his trainings on my session. I try to feed my team from everybody. Whenever I see someone playing something and talking about something, I bring it back and I let them listen to them because, like I said, this is a constant learning experience. We cannot be better if we don't learn from each other. And I learn from everyone every day.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Ryan Baum says BDC is a huge part of service. Nothing better than a good BDC. They are a huge part of my mobile service appointments. And our good friend Wendy Reeves, speaking of Phoenix.
Oh, my lovely Wendy.
Says, hey, beautiful people. Martha is the best of the best. All right, your head's going to be like giant. You're not going to be able to get through the door.
Walking with the big head. Well, I hope like all the conversation that we have today brings a lot of information, but at the same time, like, it stops some of the myths that we say, right? The assumption that we have sometimes of the BDC, because there is a lot of real challenges that we're going through that they have been bigger in the last couple of 3 years. And, and I hope it helps you get a better, process or a better, relationship inside your departments, because that is very, very important to be able to work, in a single day and to be able to have a functional BDC as well.
Okay. Now I want to show them, and again, we are on mobile, so it's not as convenient as Facebook on the lives. So just bear with us here for a moment.
Understand that. And then
okay, so what we're looking at here is the BDC. Now it is Sunday, so service is closed on Sunday, but the right bank is the sales BDC, and the left bank is service BDC. But again, there's nobody in the service department today. But one of the things that I love is, if you can see here, it's a great environment. Okay. A lot of BDCs are operated kind of as an afterthought. And what I mean by that is that I've walked into stores where the BDC, it's not really a professional environment. What you walk into sometimes is maybe an old lunchroom that somebody converted, or a giant closet. Nothing that, is the professionalism or the respect that the BDC deserves. So if you look here, you see Martha's got her eye on everything here. All right. And speaking of eye on everything, here's a really cool part. So the BDC, they have full access to the service department, right? So they're able to see what's going on downstairs with the service advisors, right? That's key, because a lot of times what you hear is that, well, we don't want to do a BDC because they're disconnected. Well, they're right here in the building and they're connected, so they can see exactly what's going on. And that's a simple phone call away if they need additional information from some of the other folks. So let me adjust this camera again. Settings. StreamYard, if you're listening, make your camera flipping as easy as Facebook. All right, so we're back at the desk here. So the BDC typically is open what hours?
Our service BDC is open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Our service department closes at 6, Monday through Friday. They are here on Saturdays until 5 o'clock. Service open at 4. So closes at 4.
Yeah.
The sales side is here from 9:30 to 7:30.
Okay.
Every day, 7 days a week. Here in California, we're open on Sunday, so we're not as lucky as some of you guys.
Sunday. It's so funny when I went into consulting. When I first got pulled in, it's like, oh, it's Monday through Friday. Not really the case. It seems to be 7 days a week. But what I love about it is the flexibility to make my own schedule. Martha has a hybrid BDC. Sales and BDC bridge the gaps. Hybrid,
yes.
Talk to me about that.
So Typically your BDC is the reps that you say like sit in the dark room in the back, correct?
Yeah.
And usually what we have them do, it's calling all customers, retention,
Yeah.
some of the unsold traffic customer that leave the dealership. Okay. Sometimes you may have them follow up on the internet leads couple of
Okay.
days after. If you used to have an internet department, like most of the dealerships before the pandemic, they will
Yeah.
follow up on the leads a couple of days after. And then you will have a sales floor where you have your sales associates just taking care of the incoming calls and the showroom ops. And again, if you had an internet department, they will be taking care of all of the internet leads. When the pandemic hit and we were forced to go only with 4 or 5 salespeople at the very beginning,
Yeah.
so we had to adapt.
Okay.
And what we did is, and that's what I actually got into this dealership, because my experience with BDC, and we have the sales associate now taking care of the internet leads where they have never had any type of training before. So we start training our sales department how to grab the lead from the very beginning, not
Okay.
just assign them to the internet department, but it was like our sales associates. And then eventually, once I would start bringing more teams into the sales floor, we incorporated the BDC, where the BDC work hands in hands with the salesperson.
Okay.
Our leads, they don't.
Partnership.
It's a there you go. It's a partnership where the culture with the salesperson, and we tell them the day that we hire them is that they're going to have a BDC that is going to back them up, that is going to
Okay.
help them be better. It's going to help them perform. When they are outside working with the customer, showing a car, or working inside with the customer, they don't have to worry about who's going to reply to my text, who's going to reply to my text message, because the BDC is fully trained on how to take over. And the most special thing is making sure that the customer doesn't feel it. They don't feel that, okay, I was talking with so-and-so and now
So it's seamless.
It's very seamless. We'll let the customer know from the beginning that we work as a team.
Okay.
And we're going to be working together. So some of our leads, they're taken by the sales department.
Yeah. Now that's what you showed me downstairs when we were walking through
Yes.
the showroom. Okay.
We have in the showroom, they have computers, they're sit down to do their BDC, to do their tasks and to do their follow-up. They grab the lead, and after they grab it, if they didn't get anywhere, or if they did, the BDC goes right after to inspect.
Okay.
We know that our salesperson, sometimes they're going to be in a rush, or maybe they're sitting in the showroom taking care of a lead, and all of a sudden they saw a customer and they're just going to get up and fly. So we have the BDC right going after, reviewing the lead. Did we answer the customer questions?
Okay.
Did we text the customer? Did we call the customer? They are very hands-on, where they go and do a full inspection. And sometimes we'll be like, oh, well, we don't feel that email was fully, something that will kind of help us connect. So they go right after in a very invasive way.
Okay.
And try to reach out again to the customer, trying to connect with them, because that's what the culture that we're trying to make them understand, that it's not just about the appointment.
Right.
If it's very easy, and I think that's another thing that we've been doing in the BDC and the sales for the longest time. Get the appointment, get them in.
Right.
And unfortunately, if we continue to have that mentality, we're not going to get too far with the customer, because the customer has changed. Their behaviors has completely changed. So it's tricking that, letting them know we got to connect. We have to show empathy, and we have to show understanding, and really listen to the customer and what they need. So what Wendy was saying over here is that we have a really good relationship with our sales department. We have a really good relationship with our service department. I think every single member of our sales department respect the work that our BDC does.
That's your first key takeaway. Respect.
Yes, they do respect what they do. They do respect the effort that they put on working with them. They know that they can go home and be off, and enjoy actually their time off from the dealership. And someone is going to be here inside the dealership helping them.
Okay.
Protecting them, because we're not trying to take leads from anyone. Actually, we're helping them be better every month. So they know that a lot of their performance is going to come from their the ability to work together, the partnership that they have developed with all the BDCs. Now, some people may be thinking, oh, what about the spooning? How that goes? None of that goes around here.
Say that again.
The spooning, spooning deals.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
Right, because I know that a lot of upper management, one of the fears that they have is like, oh, well, you know what? My BDC got too close to and that's why they don't let them develop good relationships. Sometimes that's why they want to keep them in the very back of the dealership and not having too much communication because they're afraid sometimes.
Right.
Oh, no. What about my sales department? It's going to like my BDC and they're going to come and give them all the deals and they're going to put them as their appointments or vice versa.
Two totally different mentalities there.
Or vice versa, right? No, when you develop that respect and that partnership, none of that happens.
Now, so we're talking phone, text, email, right? Critical.
Yes.
And so then the salespeople and the BDC, they're in the same thread. So each can see what the other's doing.
Correct.
Or if there needs to be somebody that picks up the slack.
Correct.
So then there's really you shouldn't really miss anything then.
We don't. And we have probably on score, and I have put those scores sometimes in Lincoln. We have a 98 to 100%, scores on our reports.
Okay.
Where every lead that is contacted throughout the day, if the customer did not set up an appointment for whatever reason, one of us managers goes and touch the lead and reach out to the customer to try to see what is it that we can do as a manager.
So that's a constant scoring.
It's
every lead that comes in.
Every day we have the scoring going on,
Wow.
And we get audit on how do we handle all of the leads that we did not talk to, all the uncontacted leads? Did we email them? Did we text them? Did we answer the questions? Did we do the follow-up for the next, 5-7 days, which is crucial. We follow up all the way until day 90, but the first 5 days, the one that we get
critical.
really audited, yes. Then if you contacted a lead, what happened with the lead? Was a manager involved? And if it was a manager involved, was a follow-up set up?
Okay.
So as a manager,
process, very strong process.
If we set up an appointment, was the appointment confirmed? Every appointment has to be confirmed. Was the misappointment call? And any of the managers or the BDC, we're the ones that do the misappointment. The appointment confirmation only. It's done by the management.
Okay.
The management team gets involved and it has to get done. Otherwise, it will show in the reports. Okay. But I think more than a score is making sure that every opportunity that you come across your dealership, it's, that you optimize the potential on that customer, that you don't risk anything, that you get a hold of them and try to communicate and try to do something. We also get score when we speak to a customer, making sure that did we offer options? Did we,
So you have call recording.
Yes.
And you actually listen to, and they get scored?
So we have a company that does that, and then it's, and on the notes we do, and then they're really, most of them, they're really good. We always want to have here one in there that maybe it's not going to do it, and maybe, the day was going too fast. And that's what we take on as opportunity to bring them back and say, okay, these are the reasons why, this can benefit you. You have to make sure that when you establish a process, that you also show them what the benefit.
So what's in it for you?
Yes.
Right?
What's the benefit that they're going to get? And what will be the domino effect of not following the process?
Wow. This is all the stuff that I talk about on a regular basis. Because take, for instance, the scoring is beautiful because you're committed to everyone's success, right? We all count on each other in the dealership. All the departments, too many stores are run as silos, right? You have a service business, you have a sales business, maybe a parts business, a body shop business. You don't have one cohesive business, but it sounds to here, everything is kind of interconnected and each person sees their value, not only to their own department and themselves, but also to the other people around them. And you review everything. And this is key because a lot of companies have call tracking. Okay. And when I ask, so tell me about your call tracking. How does that work? Who reviews it? And more often than not, when I ask who reviews it, the eyes of the person that I'm speaking to that's typically looking at me tends to wander off to the side because a lot of companies don't monitor this. But if you're committed to success in your store, you need to monitor it. So by monitoring the phone calls and grading them, it's not to browbeat anybody, but it's to find out where you need training, right?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody needs more help, then they get that help.
Right. And and it's really good to see all of our sales associates coming to us, either to the BDC reps or to myself, when they have a challenging situation.
Okay.
Like, like the salesperson that was just here.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like asking you, what, I have this situation with the customer. What do you think it will be your
You
best
coach
way?
them through beautiful.
Right. So yes, because you have to constantly be coaching. The problem, another thing that I see in a lot of BDCs, you wait until your monthly training.
It's too
right?
late.
You wait until that Friday afternoon or
It's
that.
too late.
No, I think, and they know about it. We hit a wall. Something happened. A customer gave us an objection that we didn't know how to approach, and then we huddled together. And like a football, right?
Yeah.
I love
It's a game.
I love watching Tom Brady, right, for the many years. But I always see that every single time, how they will always win in the very last minutes, correct?
Yeah.
But if you notice, he will always get his team together and planning a strategy and review what they were doing. And that's what I like to do with my teams, no matter what time of the day. Sometimes I have had managers in the past like, what are you doing? It's Friday afternoon. What are you doing? It's the end of the month. You shouldn't be having any training. When am I going to have the training?
And training is continual. Training is something that should always be done because it's that one moment where somebody needs you that will determine whether or not
Correct.
that success is going to happen with the customer.
And then you risk it. You risk, no being able to provide that type of service or that type of answer with the next customer.
Right.
So how many customers are you going to expose to that situation if you wait until your next weekly training? If you don't address the situation right in then.
Takeaway number 2, respond in real time.
Yes.
And when I say respond, I'm not just talking about responding to the lead or to the customer, but respond to your people. Don't be afraid to hit the brakes and stop and figure out, okay, what's the best plan here? And I like your thinking because when you were coaching the salesperson before, it's okay, you start with the end in mind. People were hearing me repeat that ad nauseum, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does everything they do for the what's in it for me. If you start with what they're looking for and you back into how to deliver on that promise, you'll have more success. Let me get to a couple of comments here because I think we're falling behind. Bruce Pettit says, that's a great setup. No joke. It's one of the better ones I've seen. And Wendy says, when you walk into the showroom at Wandry's Toyota, you can feel the welcoming culture and the respectful atmosphere. It's funny you should mention that because when the Uber dropped me off, everybody was smiling outside. They welcomed me to the dealership. Am I here to see anyone in particular? And then, it's very easy to say, just go see that person right there and just ask for Martha. But no, this gentleman walked me to the receptionist, offered me water, asked the receptionist to call Martha, and waited with me downstairs until Martha came to the front.
Yes.
I mean, that's
we try to train them well. We try to make sure that it doesn't matter if they come in to see them or somebody else or anybody, that they make sure that the customer is taken care of, because it could be a customer that is coming to as the finance department, about their contract. And you never know when the customer is going to turn into a sale, so you always wanted to show caring, empathy and that customer, that level of customer service that we all expect. That's another key. We expect a certain level of customer service that we should be able to deliver to everybody that comes our way, all of our customers.
Yeah, no, it certainly succeeded with me. Had I been a real customer, I would have been even more impressed. Wendy Reef says spoon feeds, LOL. Let's see here. Wow, we got way behind here. All right, Robert Villanueva says, everyone in sales and service needs to spend one day in their BDC to experience how awesome they are and the impact of having a BDC. I would second, third, and quadruple that one. I'm a big fan of cross-training, right? When each department knows the other department's struggle or what they do and how they do it, they can better feel how they can help that other department.
Correct.
Right? Do you guys do much cross training here? Or?
Between the two, sales and service and they're all the time. I make sure that my sales BDC know the importance that is to know about the basic questions about our service BDC. Like warranties. Toyota cares, like in our case.
Yeah.
Why? Because that could be something that is going to prevent them or help them, with the future customer.
Sure.
Those are, real concerns that sometimes have. Or when we're following up, like right now that is Sunday, they may be calling, oh, you know what, I think I have a recall. So they know the general information and how to drive in through but it's important. Same thing with the sales, the service side. Why? Because the service side can see and can be able to see an opportunity. So we always have referrals back and forth, where our sales BDC is following up with a customer that purchased a vehicle a couple of years ago. Maybe they're doing like a leasing, retention.
Wait a minute. After sale follow-up? What's that?
No. We do the after sale follow-up. It's important, especially now. If we want to stay connected with our client, you need to make sure that you stay present, that they remember who you are. So a lot of the times they're able to see, customer hasn't been back in service.
Okay.
Because that's another thing that they can do. Once that we bring the customer into our service department, then we have a closer opportunity to close, to show them a vehicle.
Right.
So they use that as an advantage. We haven't seen you in our service department. Would you like us to, transfer you so they can set you up? Then the service department goes and set up an appointment, bounce back. Okay, so you're going to be here on, Friday. Would you like us to go over your options? You see, you killed two birds in one stone.
Yeah,
right?
no.
And vice versa. The service, some of them, they're like, we try to teach them to see certain things that can help us.
What?
High mileage. Expensive services. Okay. Customers that they're like, there were a lot of things recommended and maybe they decline them because they don't have, the money or that they really need. We have had a lot of customers that the vehicles are the repairs are going to turn into be too expensive. So, that's when we can approach them and say, well, what about if we try to get you into get into something different, that help you because they still need a car.
Sure.
Right. And
always need it.
Always need it. So they share that type of collaboration between, the two departments, and then they stay on each other's follow-up. Did you follow up with the customer? Did you sell them a car? So it's a good chemistry between the two teams.
No, it sounds great. Mike Vogel says service managers need to work with the BDC to schedule available tech hours versus advisor availability. Yeah, no joke.
Yes.
Robert Villanova, Mike Vogel, exactly. And Wendy says, if you have a third party who records your calls, you can set up keywords, etc., that will appear to grade their calls, but listen to a minimum of one call per rep per day. There's an awful lot of information you can get by listening to that. Service needs to build out a robust scheduling system with opt codes that include hours. It needs to be updated constantly for technician availability. This will improve the customer experience and technician satisfaction.
I agree with Mike. And I think that's another misconception that we have about service BDCs. Okay. I hear service managers telling me, well, I only want BDC to set up an appointment. Well, if you want to set up an effective appointment, an appointment that is going to deliver a different type of experience to the consumer, then you need to make sure that everything that Mike is, mentioning, it's aligned. It's very difficult because it's not just about filling in the blanks every 15 minutes, but also taking into consideration what else is coming in. But that has to come, like Mike said, from the service managers, from the service directors. A lot of the times the BDC is just going to go for what it's on the schedule and the outputs that they decide. I walked into a dealership a couple of years ago. The GM called me and said, I'm having a very challenging time because I have an outsourced BDC and it's not setting up appointments properly. My customers are calling and saying that there is nothing available in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So he wanted me to.
That's a lifetime, by the way.
Yes. So he wanted me to set up a service BDC. And the first thing that I did is went into the scheduler.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the service director at that specific dealerships, it was 3 different brands. Okay. None of them have set up the parameters like hours of operation, app codes, limits. Okay. So
how can that work?
So whenever the outside service, we're going through the scheduling, the system was telling me that they was telling them that there was nothing there, right? So it wasn't as much about the outside service. It was about the setups that they have.
Okay.
Now, when you have someone inside, they can see, like we see on the service, right? We see if it's busy. We see if there is a line of, backup with cars.
I mean, right there. On a big screen.
Like on Saturdays, we can easily see how many cars we still have on the service, right? When customers call and they say, hey, can we still do like a walk-in, right?
Right.
And constantly checking with with the service advisors, but with the drive managers, with the ones that had eyes in the back. That helps you a lot. So your setups are very important. And yes, you need to have your service department communicate a lot with your BDC. In all of the service BDC that I have worked, I'm in charge of the service advisors' schedules. Okay, because I wanted to know who's here and who's not here. And at some places I have also to, make sure that I have the technicians' schedule because I cannot set you up. You love restaurants, right? Okay.
We're going to be enjoying one after the show.
So I cannot set up your restaurant with a lot of customers if you have the waiters, but you don't have the cooks.
Right.
So that's the way that I see it. You see, I compare a lot of the things that we do with the kitchen and the flow that it has to go. So I go like, we need to know how many cooks are we going to have. And is the cooks that they only do the basic things or the ones that they do, the main dishes, correct? Right. So are we going to, whenever a technician is out, it should be communicated to your BDC because if you don't have too many appointments and then all of a sudden customers are calling and say, hey, are you going to be able to take me as a walk-in? And you start saying yes when you know that you're short and limited on technicians in certain area.
Or you don't know.
Or you don't know exactly. So it's crucial. The type of service that the customer is going to receive once that they arrive is going to be completely different.
Your next takeaway is setting proper expectations. Right? If you know the landscape, then when you get those calls, because still a lot of people call, right? Probably the majority of people call.
They do, they do. I think we haven't gotten to the time where our service departments, the customers feel 100% comfortable just going online.
Yeah.
We are educating customers about that because we're alleviating traffic of incoming calls. Something that we have been able to do in our department, though, is we don't get as many phone calls anymore for updates.
Okay, status updates. Because you've got outgoing.
We have outgoing communication, and we have in the service advisors, we hold them accountable, to making sure that they do their follow-up calls.
That A word, accountable. If you hold people accountable, then you expect more from them, and they expect more from you because they know that you're working together.
So one of the things that I have established on every BDC, sales or service, and it starts with their receptionist, it's a call log, okay? And I hear a lot of dealerships saying, well, you know what, my service advisors aren't calling the customers back. The salespersons aren't logging in the incoming calls into the CRM. Okay, the receptionist is getting, flooded with a lot of incoming calls that they're not able to answer, and it's the same customer calling once or twice. So the first thing that we get here when we get a phone call is our receptionist is going to log that phone number.
Okay.
And it's going to record which extension that phone number was sent to. Okay. Why? Because it's accountability. If I know that my BDC, got an incoming call, I'm going to expect them to log it in. Right. Otherwise, I have to spend more time on the phone system trying to search in and dig in and see, okay, I got this many incoming calls. Was every incoming call logged in into the system? But let's be realistic. Sometimes you see I got 100 calls. How many were sales and how many were service?
Yeah.
So then, okay, we got 10 sales. Where did I make it to the CRM? Okay. Or was just customers calling for questions, concerns in regards to the finance department.
Okay.
So having the log at the receptionist desk helps you get a better idea. So the next thing
You have
is
a snapshot right there of
Yeah.
everything that's coming in.
the next thing is like, okay, why is this customer calling another time? What's the reason? Okay, it was an update, it was an appointment, okay, it was a call back from a salesperson. So if we see the customer calling back again for an update,
Yeah.
and then we see who is the service advisor, and my receptionists have cameras and they have access to the CRM.
Okay.
Okay, so they can see who the service advisor is, so they can see who the salesperson. A lot of the times we don't give that type of access to the receptionist, but there are the eyes.
Right.
They are your traffic control.
They're your traffic controllers and your director of first impressions.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it makes them frustrated when the customer keeps calling and they don't really know who they need to talk to.
Right, right.
They're getting the customers upset at them, and their day, it goes just full of frustration. So that log will help you a lot, because then you can see who's getting incoming calls on your sales floor. Okay, there is no logging them into the CRM. Which advisor is getting a lot of phone calls that are asking for update that they're not calling. Okay, and also in the parts department, how many times a customer had to call the parts department and they didn't reach them, and the customer come back. So what we do from there is we keep an eye on the trends. Okay, and at the beginning it was all about educating them and making sure that they knew, hey, you're being held accountable. There is a log now that will tell us, right? And same thing with the BDC. BDC, each of them has a log in service and sales.
Yeah.
Okay, where they log in every single incoming call and what was the reason for the call. Because sometimes maybe the system is going to tell me, hey, Gilbert took 20 incoming calls and only 5 made it to the CRM. Well, maybe the other 10 were returning customers, that he has been following up. So sometimes I think another misconception is that we run reports and we see numbers, but we had to decide, on those numbers and see what that information really is, because it's not always what we think.
The numbers tell one story, the people tell another story, and somewhere in the middle is the true picture of what's going on.
There you go.
Now, another takeaway here is that, in automotive, we're very much a control business, right? It's all about control. I don't hear of a lot of receptionists having the kind of access that you guys have, right? So everybody's really has their eye on the game, so that if there's a hiccup somewhere, somebody on this team is going to say, hey, we need to look at this, or we need to look at that, because here's what the log is showing us.
Education is very important when it comes to our departments, knowing that in order for all of us to work together, we have to educate every single person that we hire on everything that we do with everybody else. So one of the things that I also like to do with my receptionists is walk them through from the moment that the customer walks into the dealership, the interaction that they're going to have with the main receptionist. Then what happened when the salesperson sit them down on a table? What is the function of the assistant sales manager or closer that we call it? What happened with the sales manager? What is that they do? Then what happened to the customer when they go into the finance department? What type of paperwork are they going to do? What type of services that they're going to offer? Then the customer leaps, and what happened when the customer pulls into the service, right? When you give your receptionist that education and they have a customer asking, hey, you know what? I have a question about my warranty. They're going to stop sending that customer to the service advisor when what they wanted to know is how to cancel the warranty.
Right.
So they learn how to ask the proper question and send that phone call to the proper department. And that's going to help you increase your customer satisfaction, because you're not going to have them bouncing all over the place. But you cannot I cannot expect my sales BDC, my service BDC, because they're on the phone, to answer some of those questions if I haven't given them the tools that they need.
Right. That's key.
The education, basically.
I've called dealerships and asked for directions, and had the receptionist not be able to tell me even the exit number on the highway, much less to this level of sophistication.
Yes. And let me know that here. Maybe I'm not sure if all of them know how to exactly get here because I think a lot of them live very close, right?
Okay.
And LA is very big, but at least they know how to direct a call and where to go to.
Right.
And also they have learned, every single one of my BDC reps, I think I have learned how to know when there is a red flag on a customer, and I really love it when they take the ownership and like, hey, we have a customer that has a concern. Let's make sure that we take good care of it and not just bounce the ball to say, oh, well, you know what? I didn't sell them the car. It's the
Not
service
my
department.
job.
It's not my job. No, they take responsibility because it's like once that we have them on the phone, we have to make
Yeah.
sure that we do anything that is in our hands. That doesn't mean that we're going to resolve their issue.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we're going to give them the answer that they want to, but it means that they're going to be heard, that they're going to feel that we care for them and that we're going to try to send them on the right direction.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's like 3 steps ahead of a lot of other places. Let me get to a couple of comments here. Let's see. LinkedIn user, I'm not sure who that is, says Brasi. What's that mean?
I don't know.
LinkedIn user, please tell us what Brasi means. All right, Mike Vogel says, Martha, you nailed it. Most service departments don't put in the hard work it takes to build out a great scheduling system, and it's costing them customers, employees, and lost gross/net profit. Yeah, if it's not set up for success, how can you expect to be successful, right? And my favorite person from Sugar Land, Texas, Kenneth Dunner Jr. on YouTube. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you people for sharing your delectable, scrumptiously delicious, edibly tasty, good, heartfelt thoughts with us today. Now, I said that so easily because I've read his post before.
Oh, okay.
So I know how this man communicates. Now, Wendy says not only that it's accountability, real time, there is reporting that will tell the same, but this is a checks and balance for those in the trenches, not reading reports after the fact if they have the time. And if is a really big word for only 2 letters, because most of the time they don't have the time.
Yes.
And they don't look at it. And you're right. It's at the end of the month or at the end of whatever time cycle, they say, oh, we have a problem here that we need to deal with. Whereas if we stop it in its tracks immediately, we put the fire out immediately,
yeah.
It's not going to burn the house down.
Yes.
Wendy says, you're not waiting for someone to mention it. It's down the road, immediate attention to AOOS.
I don't know what she meant by that. But,
Neither do I.
But I know that she meant something good because Wendy's really good. Wendy's good. Wendy, we don't know what that means, but tell us later on.
Now, part of preparedness is also, for a store to be successful, there has to be diversity, right? There has to be diversity in the store because we have a diverse clientele coming in, all right? Ideally, what you want to try to do is you want to try to mirror what the community is or what the people are outside your store that are going to be coming in.
Correct.
Now, you were telling me before you have some folks in the store that speak different languages.
Correct.
Because of the community. Tell me about that.
So we are surrounded by a community, a big Asian community, Chinese speakers, Mandarin, Cantonese.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the other biggest part is Spanish speakers.
Yeah.
Okay. So we, I think, have on every department employees that help us, make sure that we deliver a better service to all of our communities because it's very important, to be able for them to feel comfortable when they call. We still, I'm not gonna lie, I think we all have gone through the times where it's very challenging because after COVID, it has been, I think, one of the biggest challenge of our departments is to keep in staff, making sure that they are here when they need to be, but we have, I think the majority will have probably 50% of our workforce that speaks Spanish. We'll have at least good 30% of our workforce that speaks Chinese. So that's good because that helps us cover.
Now, to make any sale, there are a few basic steps, right? You need to like the person, you need to trust them. And let's face it, I'm a foreigner. When I came to this country, I knew the Dutch language. That's it. I didn't know any English whatsoever until my friend Billy, who's my first friend in this country, I'm still friends with today. We're friends 50 some odd years. But he taught me English. Of course, I learned that it wasn't quite the English that he was supposed to teach me, because I was very proud outside my house. I was yelling in English what I just learned from my friend Billy Potkin.
And it wasn't that good?
My father came running down the stairs, and outside I said, "Hey, you can't yell that in the neighborhood." So it wasn't exactly right.
It happens the same thing if you try to say, if they try to teach you Spanish, more likely they're not going to teach you the nice words or the ones that you want to be saying out there.
But all kidding aside, so by having people that speak Chinese, that speak Spanish, that's a large makeup of the community. When I call in and somebody speaks my language, literally, I'm more likely to trust that person.
Yes.
And I'm more likely to feel comfortable with that person.
Yes, it definitely. The way that you're going to be able to connect is going to be different. And again, we still have challenges. Sometimes, we may be short on the staff that it doesn't, that speaks Chinese, but we tried our best. But the good thing is here is, like, for example, on our service side, we have more employees that speak Chinese.
Okay.
They're on our sales side. But knowing that we're able to go to one of them and say, "Hey, can you help us out?" And they're like, "Yep, you know what? Don't worry," and they take on the phone call, or they come to the showroom and help us out.
That's awesome.
So it doesn't matter which department. The collaboration that I think that we have, it's really good. Our culture is that one that let's work together, because together we're gonna get farther than just being me as a person. Being a team is it's a really good thing.
No, that's huge. Got a couple of comments.
Did she?
Kenneth Day Jenner, Paul Meijer, you are such a gem of a gentleman, a human being, and a friend of mine who shares his goodness with others for the betterment of humankind. I love this guy.
Yeah, I like the way he writes.
He's quite an eloquent writer. Sure.
I love it. It's really good.
Now, before you were talking about, you keep an eye on if certain calls come in at a certain time. Now, missed appointments. How soon after a missed appointment is a good time to call somebody back?
On our service department, we have we call all of our customers that they didn't show up in the morning, like around roughly 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Okay.
That's the first round of missed appointments that we do, and then we call them again between 3 and 4.
Okay.
Okay, we follow up with them for
So
3 days.
Twice on missed appointments.
Yes, like if you didn't get a hold of them in the morning, you call them again, or for those of the missed appointments from like the 10:30 to like 3 o'clock, that is our last appointment, we give them another phone call. We do it like around 11 or 10:30, because we have noticed that sometimes the customer have show up, okay, but they just gave a different name, so we're waiting to see if the VIN number comes through. Okay. Sometimes it may take a little bit of a time. They follow up for like 3 days after that, and then they follow up then for
3 days on missed appointments.
Yes.
Wow. That's and as early as 10:30.
Yes, they follow up for 3 days and then leave a little bit of a space, and another like 3 days until they try to bring them back. On our sales side, we try to do the missed appointment probably, I would say, anytime between 15 minutes to an hour and a half, the day of the appointment.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
hold on a second. Now, here's what's key. When you call that close to the missed appointment, you have an opportunity to bring them in that same day.
Yeah.
Because I mystery shop as part of what I do. I mystery shop stores because I want to kind of get the landscape of what's going on with the store. And I've found plenty of stores that, I schedule my appointment for 9 a.m. I don't show up. And maybe at the end of the day, I get an email that goes into spam, and that's it. No. I know to look in spam, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So if you another takeaway, if you call them quickly, you've got the option to bring them back in the same day. Why put off till tomorrow what you can do today, right?
Yes. And all of our processes, I think, missed appointments, on-site traffic, internet leads, we pull them all the way to 90 days.
Okay.
You know?
Now, so the service BDC, they do decline service calls, things like that.
We don't do as much of decline service codes because of the codes right now. We used to, but they do. They do all of the, Toyota offers Toyota Care for the first 2 years or 25,000 miles. So the first 2 years, they stay on top of the customer. And what I like to do is tell my BDC, this is your customer. You're responsible for the next 2 years for this customer to come back. So you get, attached to his profile.
No way.
So what they do is they will call you for the first service. If they set up your appointment, they will set up another follow-up in 6 months or 4 months, depending. They have to see what the customer behavior is.
Okay.
If they drive to a lot or not, to adjust that phone call. And then they stay on the customer. Once they get to the 25 service, they start pushing the all the Toyota services that we offer. Okay, the ones that the customers pay, and they like it because we spiff them, and we have a lot of customers coming back at 25 or 30 purchasing. The additional. The additional, exactly. They do call all of the connected customers. When you on Toyota, you have connected services. If your check engine light goes on, if your maintenance light goes on, it will send us an alert. So they call those customers right away when the alert comes through. We're reaching out to all of our inactive customers that haven't been back on our dealership for the last, probably that they haven't been back in over a year. For the last 6-7 years. So they're constantly calling all of those customers. Recall customers, customers that they did purchase a service plan when they purchased their new vehicles and they haven't used them, and the plan hasn't it has expired, but you can still use it. So we're trying to bring all of those customers back.
Yeah, I definitely hear you.
With a couple of comments here.
I definitely hear you. It also depends as well to see if you're able
Robert
to
Villanova, Paul, thank you for having Martha on the show. She is an amazing leader.
Thank you, Robert.
I'd argue with you if I could, but I can't because she is wicked awesome, as they say in Boston. Kenneth Dunner Jr. says, Paul, you know that I'm Ken Dunner Jr. Of course, I know that. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in us. I love that guy. Mike Vogel, in Southern California, it's not uncommon to have 20 to 30% no-show appointments. He says you have to invite/schedule all Toyota Care customers that don't drive a lot every 5 months. Otherwise, they'll miss out on their free service.
So, Mike, to add to that, right now, our no-show ratio, it's probably between 10 to 14%.
Wow.
That is our no-show ratio.
That's less than half of what's customary in the market.
Yes, no, yeah, we do have, I mean, knock on wood, I'm happy that we have a very high show ratio. So customers are setting up appointments, are coming in for their appointments.
So now the BDC reps, they're paired with a set of customers. You said that they follow them through to make sure that they come in.
They're paired with through the Toyota Care. Once that the BDC gets a hold of a customer, even if the customer called, let's say there was a fresh phone call, they get attached to the customer and they call them again, in 4 to 5 months. To invite them to come over. So what we do is we have follow-up processes on our CRM. But instead of going run robin for whoever, I make sure that it's attached to the same portion that helps you the first time.
Okay.
Why? Because I know that the receptionist at my dentist. I know her voice, and she knows me. So when I call her to set up an appointment or when she calls me to reschedule something, there is a type of connection. So I like to create that connection with our service customers. When they know, hey, you're not my service advisor, but you're the person that is going to help me with my appointments. They get back to you. They email you. They text you because we'll let them know, hey, I know that this is your appointment for your maintenance, but I'm going to follow up with you in 5.5 months. So whenever we need to, right? Again, you have to see what's the customer's behavior when it comes to driving. So they know already. So a lot of them, they call back and they will ask for you, and that gives the service BDC an opportunity to reach bonuses because they get paid bonuses on appointments that they're set up.
That's great.
But it's creating the loyalty. It's like the same thing with the sales BDC. I assign the leasing customers are assigned to the sales BDCs. Way ahead of the lease going to expire. I know much of the dealerships, they want to follow up on their customers 3 months before. 6 months before. My follow-up process start 18 months. Why? Because I want my BDR to develop a relationship with that client. And I'm not going to try to sell them a car 18 months before. I want to get to know them. I try to see where they're at, where's their head, what is that they're thinking about them doing. Because when that customer starts thinking about another car because they saw the new car, right,
Sure.
driving by, before they're going to go and put an inquiry online, to get information, they're going to remember the BDR and they're going to give them a call back.
Well, here's the beautiful part about it, right? So if a lease is 36 months, halfway into the lease, you're already starting the conversation. Not necessarily a sales conversation, but you're building the relationship so that when they're getting closer to the end of their lease, it's not somebody walking in on the last day of their lease saying, oh, I'm here because my lease is at an end. Right. They already know. It's the same conversation with tires. If you don't have the tire conversation with the customer, you can't be surprised that they don't know you're in the tire business, so that when they need tires, they go to an aftermarket shop to buy the tires.
Correct.
Mike Vogel says low show rate is because of your great leadership, Martha.
Thank you, Mike. Thank
with
you.
the clapping emojis.
It's the teamwork. I think I have a really good team.
Well,
We
you
work
have a
together.
team that you empower, right? Everybody talk about culture. That's the buzzword, but you guys really live it here, because another interesting thing that I saw, and I don't see this in a lot of places, the salespeople at the desk on the phones.
Yes, they do. They know that they have to follow up with their customer. It's the constant, encouraging and accountability, letting them know, have you call your customers, finish your task, instead of just like, if they're going to do what you allow them to do.
Yep.
It's like our kids. You allow them to go home, to go to bed without brushing their teeth. They're going to make a habit out of it.
Right.
But when they know that there are certain things that they're expected from them, and they're not doing it, and that there's going to be consequences, then they will align to the process.
Now, to Kenneth's point here, he says, I go to Discount Tires. Here's the interesting thing. The tires, the pricing on tires at a dealership is not that different than the aftermarket.
Nope,
it's not just tires. It's regular service also, because I see some stores where they'll post what the service costs are, not only in their store, but in some of their competing aftermarket shops. And sometimes the dealership will be more than an aftermarket shop. Sometimes it'll be less than an aftermarket shop, but they're all listed on that same menu. So I always tell people, you don't have to be the least expensive. You just need to be in the game. If people feel comfortable with you because you're a professional that's guiding them through the process of how to purchase and maintain their second most expensive item in their lives,
yes,
then does somebody really care if it's $300 or $500 difference? I don't think so.
And it has to do a lot with perception, and
Right.
that's another thing that you want to bring awareness to your teams. With the sales, with the service BDC, I like having them calling the other dealerships or like other places like Jiffy Lube, Pep Boys, so they can get a taste of what the customer has to go through, like when they go on the
Yes.
phone. But not only that, also about the pricing, because when you have a BDR that is trying to overcome objections, but they don't have the confidence of what they're offering is something good, if they don't believe on the product or the service that we're going to provide, it's going to be very hard for them to transfer that confidence to the customer. So when they get realized, it's like, we did call and it was actually worth cheaper. It's like, you see, it's like we are, and that's why now you have the confidence to tell the customer, and you can let them know, well, listen, these places and these places, they will offer you this or they will offer you that, but that doesn't compare to what we have. Because a lot of the times on their service side, a customer will call and say, hey, I have a coupon for this dealership that is like, $29.99, and maybe it's completely different, the service that they're looking at what we are offering. And when you explain to them and they educate them, then they get the results that we want, which is the appointment. Same thing on the sales side. When we're doing analysis of I want to make sure that my reps are aware of what's going on. We have the challenge of we don't have as much inventory, so sometimes it can be it can feel that, the frustration where we're not able to bring as many customers because there is not enough used cars, there is no products, and the Toyota customer wants, if they want a Toyota, they want a Toyota. We don't have that we lose them to other brands.
Right.
Okay. So they're just waiting for inventory. But like realizing, okay, how many customers are we really losing because of inventory?
Right.
And how many are we losing because of price? Because right now that the market is changing again, you see, they're like, okay, maybe it's going to be the price where we're going to be able to overcome. And I'm like, at the end of the day, it wasn't price. And we had a really interesting conversation yesterday with all of them, where we laid down all of their numbers. This is the percentage of phone calls that you have taken. And these are the reasons that you couldn't set up that appointment. These are the other reasons why customers actually came to the store, didn't purchase a vehicle. That brings awareness. They know exactly, because we keep all of that information hidden from our BDRs. The data, we don't tell them. We discuss it between managers, right? But we don't let them know what is actually happening inside the department. So they have a different type of, perception when, and try to like go in a different ways when they have the customer. Because a lot of times I may think, okay, I'm not going to set up the appointment because I don't have the price. My price is too high or this. And when you realize that that is not really the reason why, then you're going to stop creating that objection on your head.
Right. Sometimes we introduce the objection that the customer doesn't even have.
Yes.
And the other thing about the mystery shopping, yes, one part is price, but another part of the confidence builder is if I call, and I do, if I call a store and they don't respond properly or professionally, now I know what I bring to the table on the phone, and I know what my competition brings to the table on the phone. So by having the data to know what the actual causes are, and then having the experience to have made that phone call, I mean, that's a powerful combination right there.
It is. I think knowledge, you have to empower your teams. When it comes to BDC, you have to give them the right tools. You have to empower them. You have to educate them. You have to also let them know what's going on in the market. We have manager meetings where we discuss, the trends and everything that is happening, but we don't discuss it with them. I like to be very clear about it. Every piece of information that I hear, I always come back and I try to share it with them for them to have that knowledge, because I feel when I was a BDR, that's how I overcome most of the objection. That's what set me to be successful. I was one of the top performers, when I was a BDR, but without the education and the information, I wouldn't have been able to get there.
The data.
And sometimes I have heard managers saying, well, you don't want your BDRs to know all of that. They don't need to know none of that. The only thing that they need to do is set up the appointment. And I challenge all of those the people that is still thinking that way, because it's like, how are you going to earn the right to ask for the appointment or to invite them to the dealership if you have them show that you care for them and that you're actually listening to them? You have to develop the connection. And I did this a couple of weeks ago. I went through my teams, because I meet with every team every week on the sales floor. And I asked them what was the purpose of the first call that they place to a customer when they get a lead, you know? And some of them, they said that it was the appointment. Some of them said that it was to develop a connection. But I challenge you to do that on your dealership, because I will say that a higher percentage of the salespeople or the people on our sales floor are going to tell you, bring them in and set up the appointment. You cannot ask for that. You cannot ask for the appointment if you haven't made that connection again with the customer. Right. The purpose should be to build a bond and a connection. To earn the right to ask for the appointment. The goal is the appointment, but the purpose of the communication in between.
Right.
And I asked something else to the teams. I go like, how do you communicate with the people that you care? Someone that is important in your life, someone that it came to your life that you're trying to build in your relationship, because we're humans. At the end of the day, we're humans, right? Females or males, when we're trying to develop a relationship with another person, okay, when they're on the early stages, and then they all reply, well, we pay attention, we're more careful of how we're going to say things, we'll listen to their wants, because we wanted to offer the things that they like. It's the same thing with the customer.
Yeah.
It's a relationship. You're going to sell them a car. It's a relationship that can last a lifetime. I have friends that they still, after 20 years, come to me and buy cars from me,
Yeah.
It is a relationship. In this country, we're always going to need a car. Maybe we're not going to replace it every 3 years. Maybe it's going to be every 10 years.
Right.
But you're going to need a car, and you're going to go back to that service advisor. You're going to go back to that salesperson that you have been able to connect with.
The sale is merely a byproduct of the relationship.
Yes.
Right? It's that simple. People will buy everything they need when they need it from you if they trust you and they value what you bring to the table, that you're not just going for the juggler every time.
Correct.
Got a couple of comments here, and then I think we're actually beyond the hour. This time goes so fast. Mike Vogel says lost customers from not selling tires is costing dealers $250,000 to $500,000 a year in gross profit by losing their future business. I walked into a store and I asked, how's your tire business? And I was told, not so good, but we're not really focused on it because it's only 10% margin. I said, stop right there. I don't care about the 10% you make. I care about the 100% you lose by not being in that retention part of the business. And Wendy Reeves says, great show, Paul Meijer and Martha Alvarado. So much value. Martha Alvarado, did I hear you're going to be presenting in a session at Digital Dealer in Las Vegas? Is that true?
It is true. We're going to be there one more time, with Wendy. We're going to be there also with April Simmons, Mike, I think Sean Armour. There is
Canada Sean.
Yeah, Canada Sean. He's going to be there.
I love
Sean. Sean Welsh. Okay.
Yeah.
Sean
Carbon's
Welsh. Carbon's done better. Everybody on his team. It's probably a lot. It's a lot of powerful, talented people in this industry and we just wanted to bring all the information and all that we know about what we do. It's going to be different areas. It's marketing, digital advertising, BDC service. So it's going to be a great panel. It's going to be, we're looking forward again. We're working on, we don't have a title yet. I don't think April, because she's the one that is organizing everything, has put a title yet, but we hope to see you all over there.
Awesome. Wendy says their task-driven road to the appointment start out just like road to the sale. Steve Chesson gives us the clapping emoji, and Wendy says 28 people and Lori Halter mod.
She will be the moderator for the panel.
Okay.
Yes. Lori Halter. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Martha, I can't thank you enough. This has been
Thank you so much, Paul.
spectacular session.
I enjoyed this. Thank you so much, everybody. Please don't, feel free to reach out. I'm always here to give you my 2 cents and anything that can help you and how we do the things around here. It will be my pleasure to share.
We are always looking to grow our networks with quality, like-minded folks. So if you're not connected to Martha or if you're not connected to me, by all means, send us a connection request. And then closing us out is KDJ says, may you all have a delectably scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty, good, heartfelt Sunday and the rest of the week ahead. Stay strong, safe, happy, and healthy.
Same to you.
And with that, I wish you all a safe and successful next week. And we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks for tuning in.